Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man whose panic room looks more like a beer cave from a convenience store. It's Dale.
Yeah, you're right. Big glass door and everything. That's
oh,
good,
yeah.
Frosty.
Man, I'd love to have a panic room like that.
I'd like to have a beer cave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a beer cave with a record player. And it'd be just good to go.
Yeah, your records along one wall and your beer on the other.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
It would be killer, man.
That's kind of what I got.
Of course, you'd have to have a big coat on if you went in there.
Yeah. I don't know if records would like being in the refrigerator all the time.
I'd probably keep them good. It wouldn't be around humidity or anything.
They'd sure be cool records, wouldn't they?
Oh, they'd be dang cool records. Cool tunes.
Like it is outside. Damn, it's weather.
It's going to get colder too, bud.
I hate it.
Oh, yeah, you hate it.
Oh,
yeah, I don't like it when it gets down in the teens like that, but yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, yay.
What's going on today, dude?
You know, same old, man.
Back in the Crack House doing an episode.
Ready to get her done, man.
Yeah, we got a great episode this week.
Yeah.
We've caught up on our Apple 5-star reviews, so we need everybody to go on there.
And get busy.
Punch that subscribe button, hit the buttons and all that stuff, and write something in the box, hit the stars, and leave us a big old review, and we'll give you a shout out. And remind too, you can go to Spotify and leave a 5-star and write something on each episode if you want to.
Yeah.
You just scroll up from the bottom and there's a little box there. You can write something about each episode if you wish. And you can also go to the store page, get you something cool to wear, get you a hoodie, get you
something warm to wear.
Yeah, get you a cap, whatever you need.
Yeah.
There's all kind of stuff on there. There's pillows and phone cases and just a little bit of everything.
Pillows for those folks who we put you to sleep.
Yeah, that's right. Other than that, Dale, after this short break, we're going to get going in this episode, dude.
All right.
All right, dude, we are back.
Now the good part.
Yeah. We got a crazy case, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going down to Austin, Texas on this one. And we're talking about a family by the name of Shaughnessy.
Yes.
That was her last name, Shaughnessy. And the patriarch of that family, his name was Ted, and his wife was Corey.
Man, you're using fancy words.
Yeah. But they had a great life, man. They were living it up. They had a jewelry store there in Austin, Texas they'd made a business out of. But just a little bit of background on these two. They had met ways back.
Ways back.
Yeah, they had met way back when video game rooms was a thing.
Yeah, so did we.
Yeah, they met in an arcade.
We got that in common, actually.
Yeah.
They met in an arcade in the early 80s, and so did we.
Yeah, but we're not married, so.
No, that's where it ends right there.
Yeah, that's it. We're just married by podcast. Yeah. But they'd met in an arcade, and they hit it off, and they got married, and they built their life together, man. They'd done several things. Ted had owned a pawn shop at one time, and
yeah.
I think he grew a little bit more with his business dealings and ended up opening a jewelry store there in Austin, Texas. So they were a very wealthy couple by the time this story takes place.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we're starting on March the 1st, 2018. And this evening, it was just like any other night they had together. They had ate dinner together and watching a little TV and went to bed that night.
Yeah, I've seen some people say they just kind of had a little monotonous life where they just work, go home, eat supper, and watch TV and go to bed and go to work. I was like,
it's like me.
Sounds like everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean?
You just do your thing, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do, right?
Yeah. So they went to bed that night on March the 1st, and sometime during the middle of the night, they woke up.
Yeah, the dogs barking.
Yeah, the dogs were barking. And this is moving into March the 2nd, 2018. They were both sound asleep. Right. And one of the dogs started barking, like you said.
Yeah, they had two huge Rottweiler dogs.
Yeah, they did. And these dogs, they would even take them to the store,
to
the jewelry store, and let them hang out there.
Right.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, I've seen some people say they'd go in there and they'd do more dog petting than they did shopping because they were just such great dogs.
Yeah, they're just lovable, like big old teddy bears.
Yeah, I'm sure they could turn on a notice if they needed to do some security work.
Yeah.
But, as long as Daddy's okay, it's all good, right?
Yeah, that's right. But this morning on March the 2nd, 2018, they were woken up by one of the dogs barking.
Yes.
And this was about 4:30 a.m. And Corey and Ted, they were the only ones at home because their 19-year-old son, his name was Nicholas.
Yes.
He was living with his girlfriend about 2 hours away.
Yes.
Yeah.
In College Station.
Yeah, she was going to college. Nicholas, he was
living at college.
Yeah, he was living at college, but he was a day trader.
Correct.
Doing stocks online.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Ted, he got up out of bed like he would any other time when he heard something or the dogs barked.
Right.
And he always took his pistol with him.
Yeah, he had like a 45, I believe.
Yeah, he did.
That's a damn cannon.
But we saw an interview with Corey, his wife, and she said most of the time it was just a deer in the backyard or something on the back porch.
Yeah, possum or raccoon or something.
Yeah. But
sometimes nothing at all, just like my dogs.
They just hear something. And
yeah, we got 3 big dogs in this same way. If they hear something or if one barks, then everybody's barking. And they play tricks on each other. I know it's kind of getting in the weeds, but if one's got a toy or one's got a spot that the other one wants, one will bark and run to the window, so everybody goes, and then they go and get their spot or their toy.
That's pretty dang smart.
They do it to each other all the time. Like, you keep falling for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But Ted got up, like he always did, to check out and see what was going on.
Grabbed that 45 and
he
figured it out.
And he walked out of the bedroom just like he normally would, and there was a barrage of gunfire.
Yes.
Yeah. Corey said she just laid her head back on the pillow.
Yeah, like she's just, like anytime it ever happened, he would get up and she would like turn over and go, and lay her head back down and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But not tonight.
Yeah, she heard the gunfire, and she got up out of bed, and she grabbed her .357 revolver.
She grabbed her pistol.
Yeah, they both got guns at the head of the bed.
Yeah, it was reported to have this family owned well past 20 guns.
Yes.
So I'm sure there was a plenty in there.
And they kept them all over the house.
Yeah.
Just like they did their jewelry store.
Correct.
They had guns there, too.
Stashed, yep.
Yeah, you got a little bit of protection. This is Texas, so you got to keep that in mind.
Right. Well,
Yep.
It ain't a lot different here, is it?
No, not in North Carolina. So as Corey exited the bedroom and rounded the edge of the bed, she saw something.
Yeah.
There was a bright light that was coming through down the hallway like, and she had a curtain there. It was like a Japanese curtain.
Yeah.
Over one of the doors, and she could see this light coming through the curtain, and she saw one of their dogs get shot.
Mm.
Yeah. This was Bart. That was the dog's name, one of the Rottweilers.
Yeah. He was the older guy. He was kind of gray-bearded.
Yeah. But the second dog, their other dog, was just still laying for the bed.
So he probably stayed with Mama.
Probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bart
was killed instantly. Yeah.
Man. But somebody was in the house.
Off,
somebody was in the house. Oh, this episode's going to piss Dale off big time.
Dang him. This dude, he come in and kill a dog right off the bat.
Yeah. But somebody was in the house.
Oh, for sure.
And Corey could see somebody was shining a light on him. And she couldn't really tell what it was just because of the light. The light was in her face.
Right.
And it was a very bright white light, she said. Small but very bright. And Corey, she began firing back.
Yeah, just shooting blind.
Yeah. And in her interview we watched, she said she couldn't remember anything, the sound of her gun or anything else. She didn't
recoil or anything.
No, she couldn't remember it at all. I guess
she had a .357, so it was kicking.
I guess this was that adrenaline kicking in.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But she said she could remember seeing the muzzle of the opposite gun, somebody that was shooting.
Yeah, and she expected to be killed at any second.
Yeah.
They already expected it.
Gunfire was coming her way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Corey had ran out of ammo.
Yeah.
Her revolver, it only holds so much, so she'd ran out.
Yeah.
And she grabbed her cell phone, and she made it to Ted's closet.
Yeah, dove in the closet.
Yeah. And that's when she called 911.
Yeah, she basically said that she just expected that somebody was going to just open that door and kill her at any second. So her thinking was, if I can at least get the line open at 911, maybe they'll know where I'm at, or they can come and find me.
Yeah,
but
find the body.
She really thought she was dead.
Yeah, she thought she was helpless at that point.
Oh, she was helpless. But
yeah, and she was out of ammo, and
you'd think there'd be another gun in that closet.
You'd think. They had 20 guns around the house, but keep in mind, this is a big house they lived in.
Right. Plus, this is really going down fast. If you think that somebody's coming down the hallway to your door, you don't really have a lot of time to reload, especially if you got a revolver.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a speed loader, but you'd have to have it. And I'm guessing the way she was thinking, it's just another day, and then until the shots ring out, and then you just go into freak out mode. You grab your gun, do what you can, and then you just blanked after that.
Yeah, but she was on the phone with 911 at this point.
Yeah.
And she could barely talk. Everything was coming out as a stutter.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah. And there's excerpts of this 911 call online you can find, but I hadn't been able to find the full 911 call of this.
Right.
But you can find excerpts of it. But she was frantic, man. She was just all out of sorts, and I can't even imagine what she was feeling laying there in that closet.
Oh, no.
Not knowing somebody's going to come in and shoot you.
Right, at any second.
Yeah. But they told her that the police were on their way, and she didn't know what had happened. No, she didn't. And the 911 call operator, they told her to get up and go and look out.
Well, she wanted to go check on her husband. They said, don't you stay there, whatever. And then she said that the police were there, so you can go and check.
And she could hear somebody moaning.
Yeah, that's why she wanted to go check. She didn't know if it was her husband or if it was somebody she had shot or if somebody had shot him. Or she just didn't know.
Yeah.
She was still just freaking out.
So at this point, Corey walked out of the bedroom, and that's when she saw Ted.
Yeah.
And Ted, he was her husband of 30 years. They've been married 30 years.
Just had their 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was dead on the kitchen floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shot 4 times.
Yes. And the 911 operator was telling Corey to go to the door and see what you could see and see if the cops were out there.
Right.
Yeah. But there were no police.
She opened the doors, nothing.
Nothing. Just silence. So whoever had just killed Ted was out of there. They were gone.
Yeah.
And Corey...
And the cops were not there.
No, Corey had survived this shootout in her house. And Ted was dead. It was almost his body was like in the kitchen, but his body was up under the table somehow or another.
Yeah, I don't think Ted ever got a shot off.
No.
Yeah.
So there were no police there, and she was wondering where they were. And they had actually went to the wrong house.
Now, I think it took them close to 15 minutes to get here.
Yes.
And then they went to the wrong house. And, I was kind of, when I first started, researching this, and I'm like, well, they went to the wrong house next door. I'm envisioning in my head, it's like one of those neighborhoods where all the houses are basically cookie-cutter houses, and they all look the same. But when you start pulling up pictures and videos and stuff, you go, wait a minute, this is a pretty immaculate deal here, this house. I mean, it's a big house, big rock, lots of really cool rock work around, and with like two driveways coming in with a little overhang from the entranceway and big pool in the back. I mean, it's just not a regular old house.
They had 5 acres.
Yeah, and
it
a
was,
big old house.
Yes.
Yeah. So I actually got to looking last night, and the house next door did have like some brickwork around their entryway, but they both had big letters on the front end there giving the address. So I don't really know how they went to the wrong house, but unless they just said look for rock work or brickwork driveway or whatever, I don't know how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's where they could go to the wrong one. But yeah, it's just not like your regular ordinary house. So it's not like it looked just like the neighbors.
Yeah, these houses are spread out. And I just wondered too, I thought about it, if the first house they went to was the first one on the road they came to and saw the brickwork or the rock work and stopped there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because if you whoop down, I think it's on the same side of the road as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the cops did end up getting there. It was 15 minutes after she made that 911 call.
Yeah.
And Travis County, Texas, this is where this is taking place. The sheriff's homicide detectives, their names were James Moore and Paul Salo. They got on the scene. And they said Corey was hysterical, man.
Yes.
She was all out of sorts.
And you can tell by the 911 call. She's just frazzled.
Mm-hmm. And they ended up taking Corey to a squad car.
Yes.
Getting her out of the house so they can go in there and see what had happened.
Yeah, and get her away from all that
scene,
devastation.
Yeah. And Corey was thinking her life was over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she just basically just lost everything right there. They were inseparable.
Yeah, she couldn't even work her phone. She actually had to get the cops to have them call her best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name was Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And she called Karen, telling her what was happening and telling her that Ted was dead. And Karen was on her way over. And it was just a few minutes later, Corey had to call their son, Nicholas.
Yes.
Yeah, she called Nicholas that was living 2 hours away. And she told Nick the news about his dad, telling him that dad is dead. And Nick, he seemed all out of sorts during this time.
He did.
And she was trying her best to explain what had happened. And he asked her if she fired back during all this.
Yeah, which is weird.
That was just I just thought that was weird, asking his mom if she had fired back.
Yes, yeah, because it's kind of like way out of place.
But she told him that she was out in the police car out in front of the house and that she needed to call someone. She told him that she knew that he was in College Station and she didn't know what to do about it.
Right.
But now, just a little bit about Nick, their son. He was, at this time, in 2018, he was 19 years old, and he was living with his girlfriend. They'd been together for a year and a half, and her name was Jackie Edison.
Mm-hmm.
And they drove 2 hours from where they lived in College Station to Austin, Texas. And along their route, they called all their friends, family, and everybody they could think of on the way, telling them what was going on. So just a couple hours after Ted had been shot dead in their home, Corey Shaughnessy, she was in the police interview room at the police station,
Well, at least they let her friend Karen go in there with her.
Yeah, they did. have somebody with you.
Yeah.
And Corey asked the detectives if they would be able to tell if she shot somebody,
Yeah.
which was kind of odd.
Well, I don't know if it's odd, really, because she don't know if she hit anybody or not. I think that's what she's more worried about. I don't think she thought she killed Ted. I think she was just wondering if they could tell if she had hit somebody.
Yeah. But Corey was being interrogated there at the police station, and the other investigators, they were busy at the Shaughnessy house looking for evidence, focusing on the kitchen where Ted had been shot 4 times.
Right.
And they started inspecting the scene and noticed that there were 2 different caliber of shell casings in 2 different locations in the kitchen.
Correct.
And the casings in the kitchen were from a .40 and a .380 caliber handguns.
Right. Both of which is different from their 2 guns that they used.
Yes, that's right.
The .45 and the .357.
That's right.
So would say we got 2 different shooters.
And going around the house, they noticed there was an open window.
Mm-hmm.
And this open window was from an old bedroom that used to be Nick's bedroom, their son.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the screen was pulled off and laid over to the side, and the window was open.
Yes. And they got to investigating around this window and everything, and they did discover a print
They did.
on the glass of the window.
That's about all they could find.
Yeah. And just inside the window of the bedroom, there was a dresser.
Yeah.
And in the bottom drawer, there was a box for a .40 caliber Springfield.
Right, and not like a cardboard box, which is what I had pictured in my mind. It was one of those
Plastic cases.
A nice plastic case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the foam on the inside.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was empty.
Yeah. And also, the Shaughnessy's home had an alarm, but this alarm wasn't set.
Right. They said they only set it when they went out. They didn't set it at night.
Yeah. Which a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the system also detected that the bedroom window being opened at 4:27 a.m. And then 17 minutes later, the system recorded glass breakage right around when Corey said the starting of the shooting started. Yeah.
So they were in the house 15 minutes before anything ever happened.
That's what it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Can you imagine?
Somebody in there creeping around your house.
Yeah. And they were asking if they were maybe in there looking for something to steal or take something, because they were jewelers.
Right.
And they kept stuff at home too. And they had a big safe.
A big ass safe.
Yeah, they did. And they thought someone had broken in, was going to wake them up at gunpoint, make them open the safe and rob them.
Yeah, thinking maybe this is a robbery gone bad, because they come in to rob, and then Ted surprised them coming in with his gun, and so they shot him and then ran.
Yeah.
Something. That's what you're thinking.
And they were being flooded with neighbors trying to give them information on suspicious vehicles they had seen and information about the family.
Mm-hmm.
And one neighbor, her name was Kim, lived next door.
I wonder if that's whose house he went to, was it?
I don't know if it was or not.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah.
It was the one they went to first.
Because they both had white Mercedes.
That's right.
Right.
And she knew the family owned a jewelry store, and it wasn't cheap jewelry at all.
Right.
This was high-end jewelry.
Yeah, she said, made the point to say, but basically when they transfer jewelry, we're talking like hundreds to millions of dollars worth of jewelry, not just costume stuff.
And I'm sure they kept some of that stuff in their home in that safe.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, as Kim had also said, this ain't the first time that something happened like this. Said a year or so before, somebody had broken into their car and stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the first time somebody had tried to pull a break in.
That's right.
According to her, anyway.
And by this time, their son Nicholas had gotten there.
Yeah.
And they were asking him different things. They were asking if there were anything going on between their mom and dad, how their relationship was. And he told them they'd just celebrated their 30th anniversary in January of 2018.
Yeah, everything was great.
Yeah. And asked him if they argue or fight, and he said they just bicker like every other couple does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, every couple has their moments.
Yeah,
But he told them they never hit each other or ever threatened each other.
Right, yeah, well, the cops like, well, did they ever threaten each other? Well, no.
Yeah. So Corey, the mom, she was down there at the station being questioned, and they were treating her as a victim and a potential suspect.
Yeah.
And she was told they had to give them her night clothes that she was wearing, and she slept in shorts and a T-shirt, so she had to give that up. And they were also looking for other things too. They looking for gunshot residue, and they tested for that. And she had told them that she had fired a gun, so she was going to have residue.
Of course she did. Yeah.
Yeah, but Corey's burglary theory she was talking about, it just didn't seem right.
Right, because there was like at least 3 cars were parked in the driveway, so it just kind of would make it, someone would think, there's plenty of people in this house. It was probably not a good idea to break in.
Yeah, people were going to be there.
Yeah.
And really didn't know how many was there.
Right, and if you'd think if they was going to, well, I don't know, I was going to say if you was going to break in, you'd do it in a day when nobody was there, but then again, how you going to get in that safe? If that's what you're thinking going in.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you're going to, I don't know, so it makes kind of sense, really.
Yeah. So Corey, later that day, she was free to let go, but the investigators weren't done talking to her and her son, Nick.
Right.
And Nick was also about to tell him something else, too. He was saying that the Kim, the next-door neighbor, that her husband had cheated on her, and she had hired him to look into that for her.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah. She was trying to get some information, and he had placed a tracker on his car and done some different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if, I guess trying to tell him anything they knew. But maybe somebody was trying to get him.
Or maybe it was somebody was trying to get at her and went to the wrong house because of the white cars.
Very true. White Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah.
And they brought Kim in asking her about that stuff, and she even told them about the time they were attempted to be robbed.
Mm-hmm. But she also tried to dance around the fact that she hired the kid to be a detective.
Yeah, she
for
did.
a second, till they go, well, wait a minute, what about this part? Like, oh, well, yeah, okay, well, not really a detective, but I did hire him to follow him around, and found out her husband was hanging out with another lady for long periods of time, and then saying he was other places, but it's kind of relevant to the story. But
And Nick also told the detectives that there was an armed robber one time came into the jewelry store and opened fire.
yeah, and Daddy shot him.
Yeah, he shot him,
Yeah,
injuring the robber, and this guy was later sent to prison.
correct.
And they thought maybe this guy was out of prison and trying to retaliate in some form or fashion.
This is Nick's theory.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
Yeah, not they.
Yeah. And they looked into this guy that had come in and started shooting him, was sent to prison, but they couldn't really
Yeah, find nothing.
pinpoint him either here or there, and they didn't find anything on him.
So, old Nick, he's just giving them all kind of theories here.
Yeah. Yeah, they had told Corey that none of her bullets had hit Ted.
Right.
Yeah. And then they got to looking into another aspect of this, and they found out that Ted had an insurance policy.
Right, so they're kind of looking at her sideways going, wait, this is a crazy home invasion with 2 shooters killed him. How did you survive?
Yeah, which is odd.
Especially with $1 million life insurance.
Yeah, he had $1 million life insurance policy.
Right.
And also the business was worth millions.
Yes.
And the property
And
in
the
the house.
property, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking $10
million, yes.
Yeah, in 2018. So it's a lot of money
Right.
we're talking about. So they went back to the crime scene, and they were investigating this missing gun at the house.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hit them as odd, with that case being for that 40, and then they're finding shells from the 40 in there. They don't know it's the same one, but it is awful particular.
And Corey, in her interview we watched, she was saying that, she couldn't even go to sleep at night after going back home. She would sit up at night and then sleep during the day.
Yeah, she said she would stay up all night and set up lines of fire.
Yeah.
So if something happened, she would have shooting lanes.
Yeah.
You know where to shoot and how to shoot and set it up where it'd be. Man, that'd be awful.
Yeah, that's right.
It'd be hard to go back in there, man.
But Corey was on her own, and Nick and his girlfriend, they lived 2 hours away in College Station.
Right.
So Corey convinced Nick and Jackie to come move in with her.
Yeah.
There in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, at least for a little while.
Yeah, they packed up their apartment, and they moved in with Corey.
Yeah, I think Jackie had taken some time off from school
I think a year off.
to take a year off. So and then hell, Nick wasn't working anyway, so it wouldn't hurt. And that way they could come and then even help her with the jewelry store.
Yeah. But just a little bit more on Nick. This is their son. Jackie, in her interview, she said that she was having a problem staying pregnant.
Yeah.
And
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't have a kid, so she wanted to be a mom, so they just turned to adopting the kid.
Yeah, she said it basically to come down to her that she really wanted to be a mother, and giving birth was not a deal breaker if that wasn't happening. She just really wanted to be a mom, so that's when she started looking into adoption.
Yeah.
After having so many problems.
So they ended up looking to adopting, and they were looking at a little boy from Ukraine
Yeah.
to adopt. And then actually got a phone call and told them, said, "Can you be here tomorrow?"
Yeah. That's got to be a old heck
So
moment
they jump on a plane and fly to Ukraine
to meet her son.
to meet their child, man.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Can you be here tomorrow? It's not like it's coming to town.
But Corey said when they got to Ukraine, they went to the adoption agency and they were handed a little boy. and said he was blonde, had hazel green eyes just like hers, and he was just the cutest kid.
Yeah.
And they fell in love just immediately.
Now, he was 16 months old, so it's not like a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's still, baby.
Yeah, he was walking and everything, but probably talking a little bit. But yeah, they just fell in love with this kid. So they adopted Nicholas, man. They took him back home with them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they was just, and she said that her and Ted and Nicholas, I mean, they were just a tight-knit family, and Ted and Nicholas, they were buddies.
Yeah, right.
Joined at the hips.
Yeah.
They done race cars together, go-karts. They were just into everything. And Nick, he had a pretty good life.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure he got anything and everything he wanted, plus some.
And that's right. But the investigators, they were looking into Corey's theory that the attackers intended to rob the home.
Right.
But there were some pretty big questions, and they had to wonder why they came to rob the house and why leave Corey and why not take her or get her to open the safe.
Right. And then when they got to looking, nothing at all was taken. Nothing.
Nothing was robbed from the house.
Nothing at all. So I'm sure they're looking at her sideways when she says this, but she, in her mind, is thinking, why the hell that's what happened? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And when they looked at the alarm system logs, they did notice, like we talked about, that that window in that bedroom had been open 17 minutes before the shooting occurred.
Right.
Yeah. But there was no indication of them going through anything prior to the shooting. And keep in mind, this is a big home.
Yeah.
And they would have to, I don't know a little bit about it or something to be able to, I guess, navigate around it. But the detectives were still trying to track down this .40 caliber handgun from that empty box that was in that bedroom dresser drawer.
Right.
And they believed 2 shooters were involved, and they wondered if one of them had used this handgun.
Yeah, because it was right inside the door. So, I mean, if it was there, they would have saw it as soon as it came in. Or inside the window, I should say.
And they started questioning Corey about firearms. And
we went and asked her if she knew where that gun was.
Yeah. And she told them that they even had some at the jewelry store like we talked about.
Yeah, she said, sure, I know where it is. It's in the jewelry store. It's on the shelf in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So they went down there.
She took them down there.
And it was not there.
The gun was not there.
No.
That .40 caliber was not there.
So she's like, damn.
Yeah, and Corey brought the detectives back to the house to look for it there, and she was confident that the gun would turn up somewhere.
Yeah.
So the police, they could move on.
Right.
And just rule her out.
And when they got back to the house, the investigators asked Nick if he even might know where it was.
That's right. And he told him that his father had loaned it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he brought it back. He said he had taken it to College Station for a while, and then father wanted it back. That's what he said.
Yeah, father.
Father.
But he gave it back to his father, and he don't know what happened to it after that.
Right.
And Corey, at this time, she was feeling this whole line of questioning was off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can feel it.
Yeah. And one of the other detectives came in and talked to Corey, and Corey remembered them telling her the person that did this might be closer than you think.
Right.
Yeah. So she's thinking,
damn, they're looking at Nicholas.
Yeah, or her.
Yeah, they're looking at me and Nicholas for this. Wouldn't you know, from a detective point of view, $1 million life insurance, all this stuff, you got to look at it.
Yeah.
It looks a little fishy from the outside. Especially a robbery that nothing was stolen from. All you got was a dead guy,
Yeah. And Corey, her thinking that she's a suspect, this is going through her mind, and she was trying to keep the jewelry store open too.
Right, and she was, soon when she kind of started thinking this, she's like, I was really terrified, and I'm enraged at the same time that they would think I would kill my damn husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, she's still trying to keep the store opened up. She calls the insurance company to check on the check.
Yeah.
The insurance money, the $1 million.
Right.
And they tell her that they can't pay out on this because they're considering this a homicide. And
law enforcement had said it looks like foul play.
Yes.
Yes.
So in her mind, them not paying out to her.
So that tells her right away she's a suspect.
Yes.
Otherwise, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah. If
somebody else shot him and they're not thinking you got it at all, then what's the big deal about getting insurance money?
If she'd been ruled out, she'd have got that money.
Correct.
But that's telling her that, bam.
Yeah. I'm a little scared here.
Yeah, and Corey was thinking, the investigators weren't on her side.
Right.
And they weren't sharing stuff with her.
Yeah.
Like about the fingerprint they found on that bedroom window.
And all that, yeah.
And also the detectives, they went to Nicholas and Jackie's apartment in College Station. to look around. They had a search warrant for that place, and they went there to look around.
Mm-hmm.
And they found that they had a pretty big security system on this apartment. They had a lot of cameras, and they also noticed a marriage license. Yeah, they had found out that Nick and Jackie had gotten married when they were 18.
Yeah.
This was 8 months prior to this shooting of Ted Shaughnessy.
And nobody knew.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they knew, but
Them two knew, but
no, the family did not know.
no, and this was devastating to Corey, the mom.
You're like, what the heck?
Yeah, and Nick and Jackie are living with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they, Corey told him that, we need to do this right. So they planned an engagement party.
Yeah.
Yeah, and gonna do it right and help set up a formal proposal. And she even had her mother's wedding ring.
Her diamond.
Yeah.
She had a diamond, and then went and let Jackie go pick out whatever she wanted, and they set that diamond in that.
In that ring, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then actually gave her a diamond pendant also.
Welcome her to the family.
Yep.
Yeah. So them living together, they was doing it right. Even though they were mourning Ted's death, they were still doing this
Trying to hold it together.
Trying to hold it together, that's right. But, Nick and Jackie living with Corey didn't think she could keep the store open, so she'd asked Nick and Jackie if they could come and help her with the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we talked about. And Nick thought this was a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was all in. So they started helping out the store, and Corey even thought that they could make it work and keep the store open. And they were all on board. And Nick sort of became the front man of the store, doing what his dad did.
Mm-hmm.
He was helping customers, and Corey worked in the back appraising jewelry. So they were making it work.
Yeah, that diamond pendant she gave her was like a half-carat diamond solitaire, so it was not no...
It wasn't cheap.
You're right.
It wasn't middle of the mall jewelry.
No.
Mm-mm.
Negative.
But during this time, them living together, Dale, they got to replaying this over in their mind. How could this have happened? How could somebody have come in the house and broke in on them and killed Ted?
Yeah.
And they were reenacting all this.
Yeah, they would do reenactments in the house.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me.
Yeah, because the cops wasn't telling them anything.
Right.
And Corey even got all these different kinds of flashlights, trying to figure out what kind of light was shining in her face.
Yeah.
That night. And it was at some point, Jackie, she pulled out her cell phone and turned the flashlight on her phone and asked if it was like this. And Corey said it's exactly like that. So it had to be the light from a cell phone.
Which is odd to me when she was talking about in the beginning how bright this light was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Cell phone lights are good flashlights, but I don't know about being bright down a hallway or something.
Yeah, so she knew what that light was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of odd, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. But they were sorting through whatever evidence they had, and they remembered the fingerprint they had lifted on the open window.
Right.
And they got to looking into this fingerprint, and it revealed a match to a particular person.
Sure did.
Yeah. And Dale, they learned that this print was actually an employee of the Renewal by Anderson company. This is a window company.
Yeah.
And they found out this guy.
He put together the windows.
Yeah, he was a window assembly guy.
So I guess they really thought they had something to go on here. But basically, it just turns out to be the guy who made the window.
Yeah, from the factory. And he was living, I think, Michigan or Wisconsin somewhere.
Yeah, way off.
Yeah. So that lead didn't go anywhere at all.
Yeah. Minnesota's where he was.
Okay. I knew it was up north somewhere.
Right.
So it was
cold.
halfway across the country. So this guy, he just didn't play out at all.
I guess it was all the way across the country if you go vertical.
Yeah, it would be from one end to the other. So that was a dead end.
Yes.
But they got to talking to Nick about this window,
right.
And he talked about that he had historically had used this window as a door.
Yeah, I just use it all the time.
It was my personal door out of the house, in and out of the house.
The window, and I'll post a picture of this window, but the window is particularly low on the house.
It is.
So it'd be very simple to step out of the window and you're on the ground. It's not like you're jumping out, so it'd be pretty easy in and out.
And keep in mind, too, this window is on the back side of the house.
Yeah.
It's not visible from the front or the road or anything.
Correct.
This is the window they used to get in and out of the house, and Nick had used it for a door when he wanted to go out and, I guess, drink a little bit or whatever he party, whatever he wanted to do.
They called the barn or something was out in the backyard, and they would go out there at night and sneak a beer or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they asked Nick if he was the only one that knew about this, that used that window as a door. And it was this point Nick offered up a name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He said a buddy of his knew about it. His name was Spencer Patterson.
Spencer, baby.
Yeah, and Spencer, he had actually been the one who had married Nick and Jackie. He had become an ordained minister online.
Yes.
So he was the one that married them. But Nick and Spencer were almost best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were tight.
Yeah, very, very close. You know, he also told, investigators that Spencer, basically his parents weren't like his, and Spencer worked at Home Depot, and he didn't have a lot of money and this kind of stuff. So it sounds like he's kind of throwing Spencer on a bus here, don't it?
It does sound like it, yeah.
Yeah. He knew, he's the one who knew how to get in the house. He have no money. So, I don't know.
So they go visit Spencer.
Yeah, we got to go talk to Spencer.
Yeah, they go talk to Spencer, and they talked to him over the phone.
And Spencer also knew where the safe was, so, he was telling them all this stuff.
Yeah. And they asked Spencer about the last time he was over at the Shaughnessy house.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it isn't more than a month ago. And they got talking about it, and, they would use that window as a door, and they would go out to the barn like you talked about and have some drinks or beer or whatever.
Whatever,
yeah. And they asked him if, when you go to the barn, tell me about that. How would you leave the house and how would you get back in? He said, we would go through one of Nicholas's bedroom windows.
Yeah, basically they went there with the answers and just asked him some questions to see if they matched.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was matching up.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And they asked him if he could remember the last time they did that, went in and out that window. He said, no, not really. It was recent, but not in the last month.
Right.
And detectives kept the call with Spencer brief, but they still had a lot of questions. And they still hadn't located either of the murder weapons.
No.
And they were still looking for that Shaughnessy's
That
40 caliber, yeah. And Nick told him about another weapon. This was a .380 that he no longer had. Nick said he had given it to a friend, and that friend was Spencer.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Just pile it on.
Yeah, he's still throwing Spencer under the bus.
Yeah.
Because Nick was knowing that they were using that window, and he'd also given him that gun, too.
Right.
Yeah.
So now he's told him that he knows how to go in and out. He knows where the safe is. He don't have rich parents. He works at Home Depot, so he don't have no money. And I gave him a .380.
Yeah. So this is when the detectives, they go back to talk to Spencer again.
Right.
And Spencer is being a little bit more forthcoming this time.
Right.
And
but they could tell he's holding back something.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
They started digging in.
And they actually searched his home, and they took his cell phone, and they asked him about that gun. And the .380 they ended up locating that in Spencer's car.
Yeah.
The .380. And Spencer said he had it with him.
Yeah, the whole time, yeah.
Yeah. And it seemed that Spencer knew more than what he was telling him.
Right.
And it appeared Spencer had the means and a possible motive, like you said, him just working at Depot, not having any money.
Right. And then possibly having one of the guns.
Yeah. So Spencer was looking pretty good at this point.
He's ripe for the picking, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But they also was trying to figure out where Spencer was at the time of the murder.
Correct.
And for that, they used his cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And with the cell phone location, they were trying to pin that down. And the records appeared to place him at home during the murder. But he could also have been at home, or he could have left his phone at home.
Correct.
Yeah. So they were saying that the big question was the gun that Spencer handed over to investigators the same caliber as the one as the murder weapon.
With the ballistics matched.
And when the ballistics came back, that weapon was not used in that murder, Dale.
Mm.
It was just a coincidence that it was the same caliber of gun.
It was a .380, right?
Yeah, same kind of gun, but not the same one.
So basically, they don't have nothing on Spencer.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No. But Spencer was cleared as a suspect.
Yeah.
But the lead about Spencer was a complete dead end. The detectives couldn't help but note what took him down that path.
Yeah. Nick.
Yeah. Nick seemed like he was just pointing shade everywhere.
Yeah. So far, he's given them 3 or 4 different stories and places to go.
First he had talked about him
being a detective.
Looking for a husband that was having an affair on his wife, and now throwing shade toward Spencer. And
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He's looking a little eerie here.
Yeah. Now, they got to looking into the Shaughnessy home security system. And Nick said he could access it from an app on his phone.
Right. And they said it was almost like he was volunteering information. It seemed like if we weren't asking the right questions, he would just interject something and tell them something out of the blue.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there and just letting him talk.
But Nick said his parents weren't technologically literate.
Right.
So he managed their technology for them.
Yeah.
Which I kind of understand that.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it, yeah. And he also wanted them to see his security system back at his apartment there in College Station that he had with Jackie.
Yeah, you ought to see it. It's great.
Yeah. And he even said he has cameras, and it might help him clear up some of the stuff on him.
Might help you ruling me and Jackie out. That's what he's trying.
That's what he's trying to
work
say.
Toward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had many cameras in his security system, and the detectives actually said it was kind of overkill.
Yeah.
The cameras he had.
And during this time, it seemed like Nick was running around the neighborhood talking to different neighbors, about the case, and it seemed like Nick was probing for information.
Mm-hmm. He wanted to see who anybody knew.
Yeah. But they got to looking into it a little bit more, and Nick said that there was a period where him and his mom, they had a financial dispute.
Oh, yeah.
And it was pretty heated. And he told him that he had a good relationship with his parents, but recently there had been some tension between them because they had loaned him $30,000.
Right, for this so-called day trading stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
Now, he said he had started some of it, back in high school, and so he had told him that he didn't really want to go to college. He just wanted to make a career of day trading. And I guess he did okay at it, whatever. They weren't really thrilled with this news, but, she said that her and Ted said, well, we didn't really think it was going to work, but we really thought, we'd give him an opportunity, maybe get it out of the system, and maybe, if he's living with her at college, maybe he'll just get bored with it and go to college. So they give him the money to start his career, with it being said that this is a loan, and also that this is equivalent to what I would pay for your college tuition. So if you blow through it, you're done. You get a job, you're on your own. This is it. You're not, we was going to pay for you to go to school, but this is it. If you want the money for that, go for it.
Yeah.
So they supported him, but not really.
Yeah. They were pacifying him. They were hoping he would get bored with this and, like I said, even want to go back to college like Jackie was doing.
Right. So they put the big chunk of cash into his bank account and let him go.
Yeah, and there was even one of Nicholas's father's friends. His name was Tad, and he even gave Nick $5,000 to invest in this day trading scheme he had going on.
Yeah, because he thought he was, really had a knack for working the markets.
Mm-hmm. But Corey and Ted, his mom and dad, were even paying for some of Nick's monthly expenses.
Yeah, they were paying a lot of stuff. They were paying his insurance, his car payment, he had a gas card, everything they were paying.
Yeah.
And she still wasn't getting any money back out of his payments, for all that.
That's right.
Investment, or for that $30,000.
They told Nick they were going to have to start cutting him off with all this, and Nick, he didn't like this too good.
He didn't like it at all.
But a few months before Ted had been murdered, Nick had made good on this, and he paid Corey back, his mom, this money.
Did he pay her back, or he just made a payment? Because that's kind of two different things that I've run into. One said, he paid it back, but if he didn't have no money, how did he pay her $30,000? I'm thinking he probably just made a payment. Started making a payment or two or something.
Yeah, and making good on it.
Because he wasn't holding up his end of the bargain,
This is true. So, yeah, I don't think he'd come up with $30,000 to be able to pay her back.
I don't either.
He was probably paying some.
Whatever the pre-agreed payment amount would be.
That's right.
Is what I'm thinking.
That's right.
You make a couple of them, okay, you can get back in good graces.
Yeah, and Nick said that after this, he started making them payments, everything started smoothing out, and things were good between them. Mm-hmm. Everything was hunky-dory. But the detectives, they weren't convinced that everything was fine.
Right.
They, in fact, Corey felt like she and Nick were still under suspicion.
Well, that's kind of half right.
Yeah. What they didn't know that was Corey had been cleared early on. And
right. They just didn't tell her.
Yeah, and they were focusing their attention on Nick.
Right, so they started digging into his financial records and to see what he's got.
Yeah, and they get into this, and they found out that all his bank accounts, him being a day trader, are empty.
Overdrawn and empty.
Yeah, balances are zero.
Mm-hmm, so they're flat broke.
They are.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying I don't think he paid her $30,000.
No,
So he ain't doing too good on this day trading stuff.
No, he's not.
Either that or he ain't doing it at all and just spending the money. I don't know which.
But the investigators, they searched Nick and Jackie's apartment. They found the security system that Nick had talked about. Mm-hmm. And he got cameras, all around the house.
Yeah, everywhere.
And they were surprised at how many he had.
Right.
And they got to looking at the security video, and it seemed to back up Nick's alibi that they were home the morning of the murder.
That's true.
Yeah, they were at home. And in the apartment, the investigators found a safe full of jewelry, watches, and weapons. And they found a lot of ammo.
Which is not too unusual.
No, it's not. This is Texas.
Yes.
But what was unusual, investigators found a box of ammunition that was the same brand and caliber of bullets as some of the casings found at the crime scene.
Very true.
Yes. And so at the crime scene, it's Sig Sauer 380, and the ammunition 380 he had there was a 380.
The ammunition was also 6 Sauer brand as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's more, 6 rounds were missing from that box.
Imagine that.
Yeah, so it wasn't looking good for Nick right now.
Right. Pretty big connection.
Yeah. So they're trying to rule out the possible connection, and investigators dug into Nick's cell phone, and both he and Jackie have volunteered their phones to help the investigation.
Oh, yeah, here you go.
And so one of the first things they noticed almost immediately, there was a big gap in data on both of their phones.
Right.
And the digital forensics, they got to looking into all these phones. And, these guys are good. They can tell all kinds of stuff about cell phones.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really normal for a couple of 19-year-olds. You know how kids are.
Oh, yeah.
They're on their phones all the time.
Right, so it's tons of data.
Yeah. But during this time, there wasn't a lot of data. It was almost like they had done a factory reset on their phones at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what they were looking at.
Which would not be, fishy at all.
But the forensic people knew something that perhaps Nick and Jackie did not. It was very common that people don't know or understand that their messages are also syncing up to a completely separate device when they delete them.
Especially on our Apple devices.
And the deletions don't synchronize.
Right. So if your iPhone is synced to something else and you delete all your messages off your phone, the syncing does not delete on the other side.
No, it's still on the...
You have to do them separate.
Yeah, on the cloud or the computer or whatever.
Right.
So that's when they turned to Nick's computer. He had a Mac Mini.
Yes.
And there it was. Yeah. Messages from his iPhone had synced to his Mac Mini.
Right.
And there were some specific messages between him and Jackie. Detectives could see exactly what Nick and Jackie had been talking about before Ted's murder.
Mm-hmm.
And it was money.
It was money.
Yeah, in the days prior to this murder, they were communicating about a dollar amount. And she asked Nicholas in the text, and she said, do they want $50K or not?
Right.
$50,000. Mm-hmm. For what? That's what they want to know.
Yeah. And she said, well, we can't afford to even pay half of that.
That's what she was saying.
Right. So like, what the hell's
going on?
They
wonder if it was a murder for hire plot.
Right.
Or what?
What's going on here? Yeah,
and one of the texts was asking Jackie, asking her that she needs to withdraw $1,000 from her account.
Yeah, so because if this happens, we need to have some cash in hand.
Yeah.
So go get $1,000 out of your account.
And bank records revealed that she had taken money out.
And she did.
Mm-hmm. And it had been reported, too, that Nick was bragging to some friends about what he had and what he could get into about this. And he even said that after his parents go, he will have $8 million.
Yep. And
Nicholas also talked about not only gaining the money from the life insurance, but he also talked about the money from the sale of the jewelry store and the sale of the property.
Yeah, and a lot of this is coming from Spencer. Even though they had ruled him out, they knew he knew more, so they went back and talked to him again. And this is when he starts telling them this stuff about, when my parents go, I have $8 million, blah, 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 and all this stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then they asked Spencer, did he ever directly ask you to kill his parents?
And that's when Spencer said
yes.
And he said Nick had actually offered him money to kill his parents.
Yes.
And there was more digital sleuthing revealed. There was another discovery on this. Nick told detectives he could access his parents' home security system.
Yeah, imagine that.
And turned out he had opened up the app for their security system the morning of the murder at 5:39 a.m.
So magically, he was awake that morning, and 5 minutes before all this goes down, he's checking the security system.
Yeah. And this is before he gets a phone call that anything's going on.
Yeah, 5 minutes before he's already checking out. He knows what's going on. He's seen the windows open. He's seen the glasses busted and all this, the whole thing.
And detectives saying this is your aha moment.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But the detectives, they were closing in on Nick and Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was an attorney there in Austin, Texas. His name was Rick Flores. And Corey had hired him to protect Nick from the investigators that thought he was being wrongfully accused of this.
Well, she did that, early on because she's seen how they were treating her. And she's like, well, hell, and she knew she didn't do anything. So then they were seeing how they were treating Nick, so she hired him to protect him.
That she did.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
It does.
Hindsight, because she didn't think he had nothing to do with it. To make sure he had plenty of representation, to help him out.
Mm-hmm. But with each search warrant that was served, each affidavit had a little bit more information and a little bit more facts that law enforcement had been putting together, Dale.
Oh, yeah. You know how them search warrants are.
Oh, yeah. We've looked at them.
The attorney had asked the cops, to let him know if an arrest was imminent. He could feel it.
Yeah.
He knew what was coming on. He'd been around long enough. He knew something was coming down. So on May 29th, 2018, this is 3 months after Ted's murder, they did just that.
Yeah, they arrested Nick and Jackie.
Yeah.
They did. And the police came in to arrest them.
Yeah, he had Nick and Jacqueline come into his office, and when he did, the cops come and got him.
And Corey, Nick's mom, was devastated, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, she couldn't believe it. It had to be some kind of mistake.
Yeah, like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
They've been living in my house. What's going on? This can't be right.
But even if detectives were right about Nick and Jackie's involvement, they knew they weren't the shooters.
Right.
There were still two gunmen out there on the loose, and
right.
There were some new clues that were caught on one of Nick's cameras.
Yeah, they went back to that footage and started watching more.
Yeah, and this one they saw two males who didn't appear to be the kind of people that would be hanging out with Nick.
Right.
Yeah, they showed up at his door and entered his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, they have no idea what's going on. The two males that were entered the apartment, Dale, eventually one of them exits the apartment, and he's wearing a green T-shirt.
Yeah.
And it has a logo on the T-shirt up in the corner of it, just like a little pocket area.
Yeah, but on the back it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he come, you could see it a little bit when he walked in the door, but when they leave, or he comes out to be on the phone or something, he walks out and turns his back directly to the camera, and it's huge.
You can see this logo on the back of this T-shirt, and guess what it is?
Yeah.
It's the Renewal by Anderson logo, the window company.
The window company, and a phone number.
Yes. Yeah, and this is the same company that they had called about the print.
The fingerprint.
Originally, the guy up in Wisconsin or Minnesota didn't have anything to do with it. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So at this point, the detectives, they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, what the hell? So they get a hold of Anderson.
Yeah, they call the window company.
Yes.
And they were lucky on this.
Very.
Yeah. What's crazy is they talked to a lady there, and
this guy hadn't worked there for a long time. 2 or 3 years, wasn't it?
That's right.
But she remembered who he was.
Yeah, and his name was Cameron Von Smith.
Right.
And they were trying to figure out what is his connection to Nicholas Shaughnessy, and if there was any connection to the window employee they'd already talked to.
Right. So there's like, this is just getting this is weird.
Yeah, it's just this Anderson Window Company has come up twice. So they tracked Cameron down.
Yep.
And he willingly talked to the investigators. And he says the other guy in the picture entering Nicholas's apartment, his name is Johnny Leon.
Yes.
And he said that Johnny had approached him a few months back about a job moving some stuff.
Right.
And they went over to Nick's place
to see what it was about.
And that's when they had a conversation.
Yes.
And Nicholas tells them that there are some people in Austin, Texas that are costing him $30,000 a month, and they need to be taken care of.
Yes.
So Cameron, his hair's starting to stand up on his head.
On the back of his neck.
Yeah, back of his neck and everywhere, I guess. And he backs out of this. He just he's not going to have anything to do with this.
He's like, yeah, wait a damn minute.
Yeah, like the less you know, the better.
Right.
And he told the detectives that he knew it was something bad, and he decided to leave.
Right.
So they're getting the sense that he's telling the truth.
Correct.
Yeah, they are.
Well, he told them everything, even the other guy's name and everything. He's like, look, I went over under a different pretense, and we was going to move some stuff. I don't want to hear none about this mess.
Taking care of people.
Yeah, no, that ain't me.
Yeah.
So investigators went over to where Johnny was staying, and they arrested him. And initially, he just started denying everything. He didn't know anything about what they were talking about.
That's right.
So then they confronted him with a picture of himself going into Nick's apartment. Then he's like, well, okay, maybe you got something here.
Yeah.
So then it's when he started telling them that Nick was trying to hire him for a murder, and he just didn't have it in him. But detectives weren't buying that.
That's right.
They just kept digging at him. And then finally they got him to admit that he did travel with Nick to Austin. But
Nick was going to do the murder.
Yeah, he was just going to ride with him.
Yeah. And it was just days before Ted was killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just 2 days, I think.
Yeah. So he told him that they parked on the side of the road across from the Shaughnessy house. And he said Nicholas went up to the house and then came back after a while and said, well, I can't get in. And then they drove back 2 hours to College Station.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And Johnny insisted that was the extent of his involvement, but his cell phone data from that night said different.
Yeah.
His phone usage was in the area of the Shaughnessy home at the time of the murder.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you know you probably got one of your shooters right here.
Yeah, Johnny Leon. They're thinking he's one of the shooters right there.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny wasn't helpful when it came to identifying the second shooter. Turns out he didn't need to be. His cell phone records done all that talking again.
Yep, busted.
Yeah, right before the murder, Johnny had been talking to a friend of his. His name was Arian Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And Smith denied being at the Shaughnessy house and said his ex-girlfriend would back up his alibi.
Yeah.
Yeah, how them alibis are, and them ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, we were hanging out together.
Yeah.
She'll tell you.
Yeah, she'll vouch for me. And she'll tell you we're together. But she told investigators on the night in question he had left her in a motel room alone.
Yeah, took her car.
Yeah. And she don't know where he was headed or anything.
Right.
And she tried to call him several times, and she wasn't able to reach him.
Correct.
And she also told him detectives that he had a gun he'd been carrying around after Ted's murder, and it was a .40 caliber.
You don't say.
Just like one of the guns that was used in the crime.
Hmm.
And detectives later recovered the gun from...
One of his family members.
Yes.
Smith had given it to one of his family members.
That's right.
And therefore he is also charged with murder.
He is. So they got 4 suspects right now under arrest for one crime.
Yep.
But Corey, the mom, she couldn't grasp all this, Dale. She was trying to think maybe Nick and Jackie were connected to this, but just indirectly. Maybe they were out at a club one night and somebody overheard them talking about the money and the jewels and all this stuff. And
yeah, she was just trying to wrap her head around what the hell's going on here.
She still wasn't thinking that Nick could have done this.
Right. She's like you said, were they talking big about Mama's money and somebody heard about it, or did they owe people money, or did they borrow money from the wrong people because they were broke? She's just trying to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Because to her son being part of this did not make sense at all.
But it eventually hit in, and Corey wasn't talking to Nick directly.
Right.
Corey's best friend, her name's Karen.
Well, I think law enforcement told her they didn't want him talking.
Very true. But Corey's best friend, Karen, she was sort of acting as a liaison between them.
Right.
And Nick would send letters, and they would send letters back and forth, and Karen was sending magazines and books to Nick, I guess in jail, try to keep him comfortable.
Whatever he wanted,
yeah.
So she would send him the letter, and later she would take the letter to Corey, and then they could correspond through her.
And Corey was paying for Nick's defense attorneys.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, Nick was in jail for 2 years when they invited her to meet with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nicholas's attorneys wanted to suggest to him that he take a plea.
Right.
And they asked Corey to go to Austin to talk to Nick.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you imagine this? I mean, thinking your own son has something to do with your husband's death.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, knowing it now, still didn't want to believe it.
That's right. But the one big unanswered question was about the .40 caliber gun that was recovered during the investigation, and was the .40 caliber they took into evidence the gun that killed Ted.
The one that was missing then, is it all the same gun?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was.
And it was the gun Nick had given to Arian Smith.
Yep.
And Ted had been killed with his own gun.
So that right there pretty much should erase any doubts that she had if he was involved.
Yeah. But Corey, I mean, I can't imagine what she's feeling, but she sent a letter to Nick in jail, and she encouraged him to take a plea deal.
Man, she had to be so hurt and betrayed. I mean, my God. This whole time she's been fighting for him, moved him in the house, paying for everything.
And she was living with her husband's killers.
Yes.
Yeah. It was her son and his wife, but man.
Yeah.
And they accepted Jackie as their daughter after all this. I mean, and they were living with her.
Give her a half-carat diamond pendant.
Yeah.
Just sport around.
Yeah, but she convinced Nick to take a plea.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were offering him 35 years in prison with the possibility of parole.
Yeah.
If he would take the deal.
Yeah. And tell the truth. Come clean and do it for your father.
And you owed it to the memory of your dad to tell the truth.
Exactly.
You owe it.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
That's right. And the hitman, Arian Smith and Johnny Leon, also pleaded guilty to murder.
Yep.
And they were sentenced to 35 years with the possibility of parole.
Right. They got the same thing.
And this Arian Smith told investigators what had happened after they shot Ted that night. He said they heard some shots come from the bedroom as well.
Right.
They heard a woman crying, and the other guy told him this, please don't, let's go. Let's leave her alone, let's go.
Yeah, he didn't want nothing to do. I don't think Arian Smith just wanted to go kill the woman. I don't know. I think they were just in for the money to go do this, and I think they just realized this is just wrong.
Yeah. So they got 3 of the 4 accused conspirators now behind bars.
So really, Arian Smith is really the reason she ain't dead.
Yeah. But, one thing we didn't mention is, to go back to this, Jackie was able to get out of jail. Nick had a $3 million bond on him. He couldn't get out.
Right.
Jackie had a $1 million bond, and she was able to get out.
Mm-hmm.
That bond was posted for her, and she was out on bail during all this time.
Right. And it goes back to Corey was saying, well, when they let Jackie out, I just figured that, Nick was coming out right after, but that never happened.
Mm-mm.
This is before, she knew all this, but.
That's right.
Yeah, she just wondered why that was. But
they got to talking to Jackie and trying to get some information out of her. And this is when Nick had, at some point, told Jackie that his father was depressed and had a miserable life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was going to go kill him.
Yeah, to end his misery. And that his mom couldn't live without him, so they're just going to kill her too.
Yeah. Yeah, theirs is pitiful.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Sad millionaire.
That's what Jackie was saying.
Yeah.
But Jackie knew that they had money.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. They had $1 million life insurance policy on each of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Jackie denied knowing any specific about the murders or the gunman.
Well, and then she goes on to say, we can do this, and about the spending the money, about the $50K, and then see if they will take 10. And so she was involved. She was kind of acting like she's not here. So I don't know about all that mess, man. It's just, I think she's just like everybody else, trying to sling dirt everywhere about her own self.
Yeah, I think so too. Trying to get any kind of deal she can get.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey's saying, Jackie was living with him, like we talked about. She couldn't get over this.
And she said even one time, Nick was going to wanted to drive to Austin and kill him, and she's like, okay, she said, I just did it just to settle, or just to, whatever you call it, patronize him. So I rode down, I was going to ride with him, and then if anything was going to get crazy or whatever, then I would be there to stop him from doing it.
Yeah, that's what Jackie was saying.
Yeah, she's like,
she didn't think he was going to go through with it.
Spray me with the good light over here.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing.
Yeah, put a halo over her head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in March of 2022, this ain't been long ago, this was nearly a year after Nick had, had his guilty plea. It looked like Jackie's case was finally going to trial, Dale.
Yeah, buddy.
And the charge against her was changed to conspiracy to commit capital murder. And what would a jury have to say about that?
Mm-hmm.
And what was Nick going to have to say?
Well, they could bring him in, on trial.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But she had a plea deal.
She did.
Yeah.
They give her 35 years too?
No, they did not. Jackie got 120 days.
Days.
120 days.
So 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months. And she also got 10 years probation. Yes,
no.
That's all she got for this.
Oh, wait. You forgot about that long time she has to spend every year.
She has to go once a year on the anniversary of Ted's death. She has to spend one night in jail.
What the hell, dude?
Yeah.
I do not understand that at all.
So Jackie did serve her 120 days in jail, and she was free to go, live her life. I mean, she was going out, dating, working, living life, man, doing her thing.
Now, if she did get anything happens because she's on that probation, then she's got to go serve, 20-something years, I think.
Yeah.
Of time, if she violates probation.
Yeah. But if she stays clean, she's
good to go.
Yeah, good to go. Living a free person.
It's pitiful.
Yeah, and she was just as culpable as Nick was.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion.
She's all involved in it, and she could have stopped it at any time.
She could have. She knew she could have stopped it.
She could have called somebody and go, look, this is what's going on. Y'all need to get there. I mean, I don't know. She's right there. She's just as dirty as the rest of them.
Yeah. But Corey, man, I can't imagine. She lost her husband. She lost her son.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Crazy. And the interview we watched too, they talked to Corey and asked if she's talked to Nick. She don't talk to him. She don't have anything to do with him. She said, I've wrote him letters, but I haven't mailed them.
And I don't intend to.
No.
You know, she said, it's just awful. My husband's dead. My life is over. I'm supposed to be dead, and she gets probation. What the hell?
Yeah.
She said, they asked her about, about loving Nick and all. I guess, well, I love the Nick that I remember, not the whatever this is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't get to talk to Ted any longer, so he don't get to talk to me.
Yeah.
Because he's like trying to get her to talk to him, and how bad it was, and he was wrong, and all this wah stuff now because he got caught, and he's trying to talk to her. And she's not giving him the satisfaction.
But Corey is living her life every day to the fullest because she's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
So she's doing her thing. She's living her life. But I can't imagine your life in one night being turned around and everything gone.
Yeah. Including the dog.
Yeah.
The dang dog.
One of the Rottweilers gone.
Bart, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy story out of Austin, Texas. We wanted to cover this case. It's just a crazy twist in it.
Yeah, twists and turns, man.
And it kind of reminds me of, Nick and the Joel Guy murders, them cutting him off.
Yep.
Except
for Joel Guy was just a little more devious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cutting heads off, putting them in a pot. It's a little bit different, and hiring somebody to go kill you, shoot your dad.
Yeah. Nick had an indirect way of killing his parents.
Yeah.
But he was just as culpable as the rest of them.
He said he was cowardly.
He did say he was cowardly, yeah. He admitted it. There was an interview online you can watch that he said he was a coward.
Yeah. So they asked him, well, why don't you just do it yourself? Because I was a coward. He says, you don't think it's a coward to hire somebody to do it? Same thing.
Yeah.
Extremely cowardly is what he said.
Yeah. But that is the murder of Ted Shaughnessy.
It is.
It's sad, but yeah, Corey's living her life, man. All right, bud, we're going to get out of here, man.
All right, let's roll.
We want everyone to be safe. Please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.